G'day everyone and welcome to Self-Reliance Australia. This week's video is about having to change out our oven in the kitchen. Look, our oven died. It was probably 20 plus years old. Goodness knows how old it was before we bought the house. Anyway, it finally died. So look, what I don't show in the video is electrician actually doing the hard wiring in and out. I don't show any of the lifting in and out of the oven because obviously it wasn't just me in those videos, so the other people don't want to be in the videos. But apart from that, we'll get into the video. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, please give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, I'd love it for you to subscribe and help the channel to grow, and share it with your friends if you get anything of any benefit out of it. So let's jump into it. So the job for this week will be replacing that. This is the new oven, ready to go. So electrician should hopefully, well, look, I've left it on there so we can move it around in the house for when the electrician does arrive. Left it all bagged up, tied up, so it's just easier. It keeps it protected while we're waiting for the electrician to arrive. Today's the day that I want to finish off all the trim work around this oven. As you can see, we've put the new oven in, but it is slightly small. You can see a gap down through here. Obviously there's a big gap here, and we've also got a gap over this side as well. But the idea will be to pull the oven back out. I'm just going to put it down on the floor. It is hardwired in. Thankfully, the electrician did leave us enough space on the wiring loom to be able to do that, which was good. And then I'm going to lift it up. So we've got this gap here, and because we had a gap, we thought it'd be nice to be able to just lift it up slightly. But to do that means I'm going to have to take this shelf out as well. So once I pull the oven out, I'll take that shelf off. Obviously got to take this out. We don't ever use that anyway. Actually, we've never used it. Yeah, so then I'll make another platform down the bottom, raise the platform for this up as well, and then I'll start doing the trim work around. Then I'll have to paint all that before putting the oven back in. So it could take a little bit of time because I will have to then paint and wait for the paint to dry and all that sort of stuff as well. But anyway, that's the plan of attack. Let's see how we go. Let's get into it. So the oven is out. So to do that, look, that was heavy. That is 70 kilos, and pulling it out is rather awkward. But essentially, put hands under the front, slid it out, grab hands under the bottom, and just lowered it gently down onto some timber so it wasn't on a hard floor. So that is the space I have to work with. So my plan is to run some bracing across, then I'll lift it up, put some more timber up, so I get these platforms for the oven to sit on. I also need to take this shelf out. One of the complications now is this. Was not expecting that to be so low. I thought that was up a bit higher, which means I can't lift this shelf as high as I was going to go, because I was going to lift this 90 mils. So that's awkward. We'll see. That might even change how I shape down the bottom as well. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, let's get into it. So I'm just using 90 by 45 framing, basically because it's pretty easy to get at the moment. Wasn't during the dreaded COVID, that's for sure. So I'm just going to brace it across, very similar to what's done underneath. So I'm just going to do the same. I'm going to just use some brackets screw it to here, screw it to there, and then I'll put some more of that. So I've got some ply, 12mm ply that I'm going to put across for the beams for it to sit on. Let's see how that goes. So look, you probably noticed that I was screwing in, I was using screws purely as self-tappers, so just trying to drill straight into the timber. Wasn't working so great for me just because of the angles and the space. So I've got a little drill bit. I'm now going to pre-drill the rest of the holes. Now if you're wondering what size drill bit to use for your screws when you're pre-drilling, the way I was taught is that you can see the shaft, the big solid part in the middle of the screw there, but you can also see the threads that come out the side of that. So you do not want your drill bit to be any bigger than that shaft. Normally around the same size. I like to go just a little bit smaller. And the way to look at that is just put your drill bit against your screw, and if you can see any solid bits on either side of your drill bit, that's probably not a bad thing. But if you cannot, your drill bit may be a bit too big. So that's what it looks like. One at the front. That'd be the front, that would be the back, that I just showed you. And then the brackets, just to keep it in now. There's just a little bit of play back and forwards like that, but look, that's gonna disappear when I put in the braces across the top. Let's do that. So I've cut these. I did forget to put the video on while I was cutting them, but what you might see is this edge. Now that's what happens when you're just using a normal circular saw as opposed to a track saw. You can actually split out the back of it, but you can overcome that by putting some tape on. I wasn't particularly perturbed by that for this time around because I can actually put them on the bottom, so you can see that it's actually pretty neat anyway. Yep, the cut isn't exactly straight because I tried to make my own little track saw and the saw went underneath it. But anyway, that aside, the top part is actually still pretty clean. And on top of that, even the top or the bottom is not going to be seen by anyone because it's going to be in underneath the oven, in behind all the cupboards. So, and I've just cut that the wrong length. So one of the challenges that I've just noticed putting the ply in is that when you put weight on it, it does bend a bit. So what I've done, I've just got some 90mm, which is all I'm going to put in underneath to support. Then I'll just screw it in from the top. So that'll stop it bending. Because underneath was actually solid, like proper timber, as opposed to ply, and that wasn't bending at all, so that was a much better option. So I'm also going to countersink these holes because I don't want any metal poking up from the bottom and touching the bottom of the metal oven. So that's the first side done, so that's nice and solid, like that's not bending anywhere, it's not moving anywhere. These are no longer moving backwards and forwards because that bracing is holding it in place, so that's nice finish. So now what that means is that my oven, our oven can now lift up, it's going to be just over 100mm, so we've got 90mm of the framing and 12mm in the ply. So both sides are done, so basically I just did a rinse and repeat on this side. So So pre-drill, countersink, then screw it in, making sure the screw heads are below the top level of the surface level, because I don't want any metal from the oven touching those and potentially heating up. Getting the height right from here will be the important part, especially for here. As I said before, this is a lot lower than I thought it would be. Potentially I could move it. Don't really want to go down that path because it is a PowerPoint. There's probably some scope to move it just a fraction, but anyway, what I've done, I've got 30 mil, so very similar to this type, I think that's MDF, but I've got 30 mil timber, real timber. I'm going to put down the sides, which is probably about 5 mil lower than I would have liked, but it should still allow me to fit the oven in. I'll still have about a 5 mil gap under here. I was hoping to get like right up underneath here, so it's on there hard, but that's okay. I think it will work. So I talked about height and this switch, but what I wasn't really thinking about was this board. So I now need to cut a piece out so the oven can slide in, because that will now hit on the back of the oven as we slide it in. The screws in, and you don't want to do it into your kitchen bench top. That won't make you too popular, but you don't need to go all the way through. Like, you just need to get it so it's started, because I'm doing these on the side walls there, so just makes it just a little bit easier. So you notice that actually that one did go through, so this is lucky. I actually had some timber underneath that. So I pre-drilled them, countersunk them, and then I'm putting the screws in before they get onto the wall. Whoop. Whoa, that was lucky, wasn't it? Who knows? Do the test run, let's see how the shelf goes. So I have the frame in for that shelf. I'll put that piece across the front. And what you might notice is that when I put the old shelf in, it's got a bit of a bow in it. So I'm just going to put some screws in either end, either side, either corner here. Try and pull that and straighten it back up, so we'll see how successful that will go. I've pre-drilled it, I'm about to countersink it so the screws sit nice and flush, and hopefully we'll go from there. That's a little bit better, not perfect, but it's a lot better than what it was, so that will like make it look nice, a lot flatter at the front. So the next step will be remove these. Won't take too much. I'm also going to remove this piece here, so that way when I put in a new piece, it'll come all the way up, so there'll just be one flush piece all the way along there, which should look a lot neater. So I've got that board on, I haven't completely finished it yet. I do need to sand before I paint. But inside here, there were, screws. So the old one was actually screwed on, which surprised me. However, the piece of wood, the bit of plywood on the front is not as wide as the piece of cabinetry paneling that was on it before. So the screws were about to pop out the other side.
So I've used a different type of screw instead of having a countersunk head, which I don't need in here. I've used like a flat head type, so it actually sits on top. So now, for those of you that were scratching your heads because I cut out the bottom of that board because the oven's too high to go through under that shelf, and you start scratching your head because I put a bracing board across the front here, which was pretty much exactly the same depth you might see here on the front. And you can stop scratching your head because I've taken that out. Yeah, I'm not too sure where my logic was going. I knew I had to take that bit off at the back to slide it underneath, but for some reason the logic fairies went on holidays when it came to this front bit, because I know I need to get a nice little flush bit on the front to make it look like a neat fit. But it looks like it's going to be pretty close. Like, this is sitting at about 895 as far as the height goes, and that oven is sitting at about 890, so I'm not going to have much room to play. And so when it goes in and comes up and goes in, it's going to be pretty tight. But that's just how it rolls. What I'm going to do now is put some supports in the side here. Look, this has been a rinse and repeat, so I've got some timber. It's actually 30mm by 10. I've pre-drilled it, I've countersunk it. I'm going to now put the screws in, pre-screw it as well, and just put it straight in. And what that'll do is give me something to glue the ply onto. And look, I might even put another one on the inside, so I can actually then screw through to the ply perhaps, and we'll see how that goes. But at this stage, definitely one, then I can glue it on and we should be good to go. So there now, so that gives me something to glue or mount the other ones to. Well, I'll say the others, they have extra ply. So now I'm going to put a 50mm piece of ply across on both sides, glue it on, and we'll go from there. Well, here it is. Like, I haven't painted it yet. I'm about to start gluing. So I've cut these side bits out, I'll put them in. I do need to like push them in, and I'll brace them a bit better when I get the glue on. I'll probably sit there and hold it. I have got a quick dry glue. Now the glue I'm going to use is Liquid Nails by Sally's. This is the Rapid Cure. It's supposed to be super strength, like industrial construction grade. It's supposed to cure in 10 minutes. Funny they say that, but they say, you know, don't take any supports off of it, 15 to 20. Then fully cured in 24 hours, which is pretty good. But that's about where I want to be with this tomorrow morning. Maybe not 24, but at least, what's the time now? 3 o'clock. So 15, 16 hours before I put that back in tomorrow morning. So I'm going to glue that, but first I want to glue this back bit on. Had some nails, like just cabinetry nails, cabinet making nails, punched in through behind. I was keeping that on. So I'll glue that first, hold it on, then I'll glue these on, and then we're pretty much right. So once that sets, after about 10-15 minutes, then it's time to get some paint on. Now, I know you've all seen me paint before, so the paint I will use will be a multi undercoat primer or primer undercoat type paint. You can see all these blank plates here, right? You go, well, what was that electrician doing? Well, we just do not know, to be honest. When the Sparky came out, he goes, you've got a lot of holes in your wall. And we live in the country, so little miceys and ratties and all that sort of stuff can come in through those holes in the wall. So he's put some blank covers over.
Just use the clamp to pull that wall back in because it's starting to bow out a little bit. And also just a bit of oil, just put some pressure on it down the bottom. Look, I know I said that next time you see this it will be finished. I tell you what, I've just glued those on. And that glue, rock solid, like after 20-30 minutes. I think it's probably about 30 minutes. I probably did leave it 30 minutes, but that is rock solid. Very, very happy with that. Actually, that's, yeah, really happy. Probably what I was hoping for, but maybe not expecting. Ye of little faith, though, one might say. But that's actually really, really good. Very happy. So there it is in place. Now to lift that up, I actually brought the trolley jack down from the shed, and I had probably, it was almost a 2-foot square piece of wood that sat on top of the trolley jack, just so I'd have a nice even platform to sit the oven on. So we lifted it onto that, then we used the trolley jack to lift it up into place, and so that way I'll just slide it nicely and easily into that really nice tight tolerance of a fit. And look, really happy with the way it's turned out. It's a great finish, nice and tight either side and around the bottom. So there you go. Look, I'm really happy with the finished product. Another job is done, as I like to say. Look, it's just a nice, clean, neat fit. And I think it actually looks a lot better than probably some of the cabinet work that was there prior. And part of that is probably the new look of the oven and all that sort of stuff as well. But very happy with the finished product. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, thanks for watching.